Okay, I've had this thought for a while now, especially new players just jumping into Guild Wars 2 all crazy and doing whatever. Listen, the game is great, do whatever makes you happy.
Oh my god! Wow!
But I wanted to bring to your attention the major mistakes that new players make, especially during their first playthrough. I'll be honest, I've done all of these before as well, so you're not necessarily alone, but I'm hoping to offer some guidance when the game doesn't necessarily give you that. Here are the 7 most critical mistakes that new players make when trying Guild Wars 2. First is actually before you even get into the game, and that of course is coming into Guild Wars 2 with the expectation that it is like the other MMOs that you have played. World of Warcraft, Final Fantasy, New World even. I mean, Guild Wars 2 has made a name for itself for being non-typical between its leveling, its endgame progression, its gearing, I mean, you name it. Guild Wars 2 is significantly different than most MMOs today. Now, I think some new players may go into the game perhaps looking for something to say, oh, this isn't like my favorite MMO, and give up on the game. That is an eventuality with some players. But part of the beauty of Guild Wars 2 is that it is very player driven in the sense that you guide your playtime. It's a giant sandbox, go in and enjoy it. You decide what you want to spend your time doing, and there is no clear exact path forward. Seriously, enter the game with an open mind and an appreciation for what it is and not what you expect it to be. Next is another one that happens early on, but you were looking at the profession screen and you picked a Guardian because you thought, of course, that has to be the tank class. But you find out that there is no holy trinity in Guild Wars 2 that is typical in most MMOs.
What did he say?
And that, of course, being the mistake. There is no holy trinity in Guild Wars 2. The game has loosely defined support and DPS roles, and that's about it. Less emphasis on the whole tank, healing, and DPS. Now, to be fair, every class does have a heal, they have their utilities and defenses and whatnot, and most mobs function in the game by attacking whoever has the most toughness in the group. And a lot of the time, especially in instance content, the tank, quote unquote, is also the healer. I will note that the group content tends to focus more on the boons, what we call buffs here in Guild Wars 2. So seriously, don't look to fill a particular role. Pick the class that you think is going to be the coolest to play and go crazy. Okay, so you decided to purchase an expansion and you get the level 80 boost and you say, you know what, let's do it. You make your level 20 thief endgame ready and you are immediately bombarded with everything that Guild Wars 2 endgame has to offer. You have a full gear set, you got put into some hot desert place and immediately lose all sense of direction of what the heck you should be doing. You see the green story arrow telling you to go back to the zone that you just were in, like what the heck? Well, guess what? One of the easiest mistakes that new players make is using their boost way too early. While the level 80 boost is nice, of course, it unfortunately overwhelms new players with everything Guild Wars 2 has to offer, and it's enough to put that player off of the game. Guild Wars 2 is best when you learn in increments and during playtime. I mean, giving you a Bugatti when you just got your driver's license isn't that great of an idea, you know? Take your time, save the boost, wait until you at least get a decent grasp on the game before boosting up a character. What is a mistake that you did when you first started playing Guild Wars 2? Tell me down in the comments below. Okay, so this one I'm a victim of, and this mistake is only thinking that you can enjoy the rest of Guild Wars 2 after beating the story. I got so stuck in this mentality that the rest of the game was off limits until I beat the final boss of the main story. I mean, boy, I was wrong. Guild Wars 2 is a great game to do whatever. Literally a sandbox. Literally anything is fair game. Once you get an understanding of the game, you do not have to follow the main story. And trust me, the core story shows its age after 10 years. This isn't to say that the story is bad, it just starts off a bit slow. I've seen so many players feel as if they are tethered following the little green arrow when in reality that arrow is a suggestion, not necessarily a requirement. Next is one that all players make at some point, and that mistake is not using the trading post effectively. When you start Guild Wars 2, you were penniless, and if you were gathering every node and looting every mob, you were essentially farming your gold right there. The Black Lion trading post is a great place to make consistent gold as you are leveling up. Now, it will only be some copper, maybe some silver, very rarely pieces of gold for the stuff that you are selling there. However, it is a decent path to make gold. But what pieces do I sell and what pieces do I keep? Now, this is a toss-up because some materials can assist you later down the road when crafting comes into play, i.e. for ascended or legendary gear, which is the highest stat value gear in game. But in my opinion, you can make enough gold by selling the crafting materials and other various things that you gather during your playthrough to make your leveling even easier.
I say, hold up.
For example, purchasing some bags to offer some more storage space, or even replacing a piece of gear that you've severely out-leveled. Point is that the trading post is a fantastic tool to make money in the game, and I promise having some extra coin will be a massive boon for you, so learn how to use it. If you are a new player and want to see more Guild Wars 2 shenanigans, like this video and hit subscribe. So basically, the main story and core theory up to this point, you could have very well be using literally any build or gear. It really doesn't matter. It doesn't require much.
I am a god, you dull creature.
Then you decide to play the Heart of Thorne story, only to find out that the jungle is incredibly unforgiving and ruthless. This mistake is one that rears its head very quickly, and that is not researching effective builds and gear for your class. Now, to be sure, you can do quite a bit of trial and error and theory crafting to figure out what you want to play and how you build it your own way, but some players may not enjoy that grind and would rather do a tried and true build that can serve them well. The reason I recommend this is because when you get into endgame zones or content, there are certain builds that make content easier. But if you're going to Verdant Brink with a hodgepodge of green and yellow gear, on top of being a full conjured weapon elementalist,
gonna have a bad time.
I suggest trying some of these builds and gear setups to understand what works best for you. And then from there, grow, expand, do different things to make the build your own. But to start, try the path that's already been traveled. And this point is my most important yet. The biggest mistake that any new Guild Wars 2 player can make is not asking for help. Listen, this game is a lot. There's 10 years of content backing it up. And there are so many different things occurring, so many different resources, currencies, map metas, it's a lot. But I am willing to bank some money on the fact that the community of this game is more than willing to help you achieve whatever goal you have set out to accomplish. Need help with a mob? Ask Map Chat. Have a question on crafting materials? Ask a guildie. To be sure, you're going to run into the occasional uncooked potato who may or may not be friendly, but all in all, the community is an absolute asset for new players, and a lot of the times I feel that new players fail to utilize that. If you want to learn more about the endgame in Guild Wars 2, click this video here. Stay caffeinated, folks.